Man, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of EOS. It's 10 out of Jake, man. I'm rocking with y'all rocking with me. And for this video, we're going to be speaking on a Florida mother that called her son for backup in an altercation. He pulled up and it turned into a quadruple shooting, leaving a 14-year-old girl dead. Fierce, violent, and uncontrolled. A brutal, a vicious person. That's the definition of a savage. A word that would define Brian Goggins, but more so his actions. August 12th, 2016, officers were dispatched to the Capri Apartments, more specifically 99 West 39th Street in Jacksonville, Florida, in reference to several people shot. 4 victims located suffering from gunshot wounds, making this the scene of a quadruple shooting. All of the victims were transported to UF Hospital, 2 with non-life-threatening injuries. 1 listed in critical condition after being shot in the throat, and the 4th victim, a 14-year-old girl, dying after being shot through her hands and into her face.
Her grandfather was too upset to talk to us. He says he is devastated that his granddaughter was shot and killed last night. He says the mother of that girl was also involved in the shooting. She was shot in the throat and she's in the hospital tonight recovering. She doesn't even know what happened to her daughter, that she was shot and killed.
Witnesses at the scene stated several people were hanging out in the area, socializing and drinking. During the evening, a woman named LaWanda Mack got into an argument with a male resident in which she threatened to call her sons, stating, "My son's finna come shut this bitch down. Come do something to y'all motherfuckers. Y'all don't know me. Y'all don't know my people." Acting crazy. Witnesses further stated Mack had a habit of getting drunk, starting arguments, and then calling her sons to threaten people. She made the call saying, "Y'all come out here to the apartments. Come out here to Capri. This motherfucker disrespected me, calling me a bitch." A black SUV came flying down the street, allegedly going 50 miles per hour in a 10 miles per hour zone. It passed the apartment, then came flying back. A man jumped out saying, "Where's that tried my mama?" Witnesses speaking up saying, "Nobody even messed with her. Nobody hit her. Nobody did nothing to her. She was down there arguing with the man." A second vehicle pulled up. A truck making a loud vroom sound. Her son jumped out of the back seat with a gun in his hand. The other brother armed too. A witness repeated herself, saying nobody messed with their mom. This is what she does when she gets drunk. The son saying it doesn't matter. Girls and all will kill by our mama. As soon as he said that, shots rang out. Everyone outside of the apartment was shot. The mother and sons all leaving the scene as EMS arrived shortly after. One woman shot in the legs 3 times, breaking bones which would keep her from walking for 4 months. The 14-year-old girl, Tamaya Sanders, was placed on a stretcher as they tried to pump oxygen back into her lungs. Family screaming, "Bring her back, bring her back." Tamaya had heard yelling, walked out of the door, and in front of her mom she had put her hands up as bullets passed through them, striking her in the face. Her mother, standing behind her, was shot in the throat. The mother's boyfriend being the 4th victim with a non-life-threatening gunshot wound. The next day, LaWanda Mack's house was shot up. One of her sons named Byron was home at the time, calling his mother who wasn't home. She arrived at the same time as the police, both of them stating to police they don't know who would do this and that they've had no problems with anyone in the past. At the police memorial building, they were both interviewed. Ms. Mack denied she was on 38th Street the previous night, later admitted she was. She called both her sons, Brian and Byron, who both showed up. Brian getting out asking who she was arguing with before arguing with the female himself. Ms. Mack then heard a gunshot, saying she then got into her car and immediately left. She then said Brian called her, saying he'd shot everyone because he wouldn't tolerate anyone disrespecting her. Ms. Mack then called her son Brian during the police interview, and he admitted to the shooting, telling her to lie to the police and say he was in Texas at the time. He wasn't worried about witnesses as they didn't know his name. Byron, the other brother, gave the same story in the interview room, stating he saw his own brother Brian aim the gun at a female before he began firing, and he was standing so close to his brother, the gunshots were deafening, hurting his own ears. It would be a month and a half before an arrest was made. Brian Goggins, 24, was arrested in Tallahassee after a standoff with U.S. Marshals. Representing himself in court, he cross-referenced all of his surviving victims, including the 14-year-old's mother, who identified him in court as the shooter to him. He even cross-referenced his own mother, who broke down crying in the courtroom as she was warned of the repercussions of lying. She claimed she'd taken Xanny bars and was drunk. She didn't recall admitting everything to police. When asked about the shooting, she fell silent. The question repeated by the prosecutors. She said, "Y'all already know what happened." After being told she needed to answer the question, she said yes. When asked if she remembered telling the police she was worried because Brian wouldn't turn himself in and police would have to kill him, she said yes. Brian Goggins was found guilty within 75 minutes, sentenced to 4 consecutive life sentences for 1 count of second-degree murder, 3 counts of second-degree attempted murder, and an additional 15 years to run concurrent for being a felon in possession of a firearm. Brian was transferred to prison on December 30th, 2019 to live out his life sentence. Now, after researching this video, I don't understand as a parent how you can condone in that type of behavior. You get drunk, you get high. You're already an irresponsible parent. I mean, you're a grown adult. But to do that and then start altercations where you're calling your kids as backup, what the fuck type of parent is that? Before we even get to the shooter, we gotta start off with the parenting. We gotta start off with the upbringing and how the fuck that type of behavior was condoned, and then you're surprised when a quadruple shooting happens. And you didn't even ride out for him. You brought him into the situation specifically to do what the fuck he did. You didn't have any good intentions of him coming and shaking hands. You probably didn't know he was gonna start shooting. But at the end of the day, that's what caused this situation. And then you told the police the entire thing. And whether you tried to go back on it in court or lie in court, obviously she didn't. It clearly said, she started to admit to everything, breaking down, crying in court. But you brought your son into that situation. And there's multiple cases where the parents tell on the child. Lil Nick from St. Pete, he killed a cop. His own mother told on him. I believe she told on him for the reward money. But there was something about the fine line, the little print on the reward that if you're a family member of the defendant, you can't get it. So she didn't even get the money from telling on her own kid. But it wasn't just the mother. The brother folded too. He told everything to the police department, made it clear that he wasn't the shooter. And I think he tried to come back off of it because he does have charges that relate to the case. He was charged with perjury, and he's pretty much getting in trouble for lying on a case that has a murder charge. So he's facing some serious shit. But as far as the shooter goes, you can't blame your parents, your upbringing. You have some type of self-control. And to pull up and have so much rage, you're not gonna let anyone disrespect your mother, right? You love your mom that much, you'll shoot a 14-year-old girl in the face. That's how much you love your mother. What doesn't make sense to me is the decision you made that day will keep you from ever being free and being around your mother to protect her for the rest of her life. Your mother's house was shot up the next day. You weren't there, allegedly. We don't know if he really fucking was, but you weren't there. Now you're inside of a box, your mother's free, and you love her so much you're willing to kill about her, but you're not even in society to protect her because of some dumbass decision that you made, shooting 4 people that had nothing to do with the initial argument. Now, he claimed that he's innocent in court. I'm sure he's gonna try to fight it, but he defended himself in court. He represented himself as if he was a fucking lawyer. So I highly doubt any appeals or anything like that are gonna be coming through for him. Rest in peace to the little girl that got shot. Jacksonville, it's on another level. They're killing out there. Killing in Jacksonville is just as much a part of the culture as killing in Chicago or any of these other cities where murder is just sky high, and it's been like that for years. But hey, it's 1090 Jake. I'm rocking with y'all rocking with me. Till next time.